We're going to show in this video how to wire the FMS500 Flowmeter from Siemens. The first step is to locate your wall mount bracket, and in there is this terminal plate, as you can see here, and also a bag of 4 screws. You need to remove those, as we'll need these for the start of the process. Next step is to remove the lid on the Flowmeter. There's 4 Phillips head screws, 1 in each corner. These just need to be removed, and you can take the lid off. There we go. Once the lid's removed, inside you've got a bag that will contain 2 plastic M20 glands. We're going to use those in a second when we remove the little plastic bungs. On either the left side or the right side, whichever side you decide to put your have your cables coming out of, you need an 8mm Allen key to remove these caps. There's there, you can see. You can use a spanner as well if you haven't got an 8mm Allen key. So we're just going to pop these out, and then in a second we'll pop back in our plastic M20 glands. And as I said, you can do this on the left side or the right side, depending on which side you prefer your cables to come out from. So now they're removed, we're going to grab our bag of 2 glands, pop those out, and then we're going to tighten those into the side where we remove the plugs from. Now once they're removed, the next step I would advise is to remove the memory chip or the EEPROM. It's a really important part, so you want to keep that safe. That's going to be mounted in the transmitter on the wall mount bracket. Next, you've got your plate. On the plate you can see it's got some engravings. I generally put those on the side where my cables are coming in from, and that plate just sits down on a little lug at 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. And it's secured into place using the 4 screws that we took out of the wall mount kit earlier. So you can see that I'm pointing to 1 in each corner. So we'll just screw those down now. So now they're all down, we can start connecting our internal sensor cables. So your cable that's got the 2 connectors, which will go on the right hand side, that's got 85 and 86 written on them, and it also correlates on the engravings on the board. So we'll go, as you can see there, so we've got the numbers facing up. You can't quite see it in the picture, but there is some engravings on that black molded connector which say 85 and 86. Same on this one, 0, 81 and 82. They're on the board, so they go in the middle 3, so the outer 2 on that don't do anything. We're just going to screw those down now. Once they're done, you're then left with your 2 earth cables. Now sometimes you've only got 1 earth cable, so if you've only got one, you've only got 1 to attach here. Quite often there's 2, so there's a little nut on the plate here, sorry, a little screw on the plate here. We're just going to undo that, put the 2 together, and tighten those down with that screw that was in place. So it can be quite fiddly to do sometimes when you're trying to do 3 things with 2 hands, but a bit of patience, we'll get there. There we go, so we've got that down. Now we're on to actually feeding our sensor cables through. So we'll start with the coil cable, which is the lighter of the cables. This is a slightly thicker internal core. So we'll feed them through here. We've put a couple of ferrules on the end of the blue and the brown, and a spade connector on the earth cable, just to make them easier when we're fitting. The first thing we'll start with is putting the spade connector in its location. So there's a screw which has got a square washer underneath. You can just see it underneath the where I'm just going into there. We'll just give that a couple of turns to loose it, not remove it altogether, and then pop our spade bit underneath. Once that's underneath, we'll tighten it down, and we'll move on to fitting the blue and the brown. The blue will go into 85, which is etched on the board, and will match the black connector on the other side. We'll put that in here, followed by the brown. Now the brown doesn't go in straight away, and that's because the little bucket that the connector goes into isn't quite down enough. So I've just loosened it slightly, popped it in, and now we're tightening it back up. Once that's done, we'll just smarten up the cables inside and tighten down the gland. We'll give them one final test just to make sure the connectors are all done up nicely. Bit of a pull, no movement, and we're happy. Now we're going to move on to the electrode cable. Again, we've done the same. We've put ferrules on the end with a spade connector for the earth cable, and it's a similar process. So first we'll put the earth cable into the screw, which has got the square washer again. As you can see here, we'll just pop that underneath and tighten that down. Followed by the black first, which is the middle. I always prefer to do this one first. So we'll pop that one in, tighten that one up. Followed by the blue on the right side, which goes into terminal 83. And then finally the brown on the left side, which goes into terminal 82. And then to finish off, same as we did on the other side, we'll just smarten the cables up and then tighten the gland. We'll zoom in a second so you can view this all close up.